Hey, everybody, I'm so excited today. I'm going to be bringing Hope as our special guest. Hope Anderson comes from us from Soul Corporate Office, and she's going to be going over the host parties versus an M2. What are the differences? What do they look like? And when do we use each and every one of them? And then helping us decipher through which one works best for whatever live program we may be doing via Facebook, or you could actually be doing Zoom parties with 10 or 15 people and just presenting information, or actually, like Lisa has the spa, she might have just 2 or 3 people who show up. So she'll be able to see what will work best for her program with what we have to work with as business tools for with Soul Naturals. So without further ado, here's our master's degree business extraordinaire, Hope.
Thank you, Chris. Perfect. So yeah, first of all, I want to talk about, because I know the terms get a little bit confusing, especially since we've run a couple different party programs. And so for those that have been with Soul for a longer amount of time, it can get a little confusing with all the different terminology. So we start out with happy hours, right? And now happy hour is just a general term for any time you're having any type of virtual or in-person party. So it's kind of like the broad term, like an M2 is a happy hour, the host program is a happy hour. They're all happy hours, right? And so, for example, like if someone had, because for both the M2 and the host program, you need at least 5 attendees, and we'll talk about the requirements for those attendees. So if you were to have something smaller than that, it's just called a happy hour, and there's not a program for that, but it's kind of the same outline. You give a small health presentation, you present the products, things like that. But you don't have to register it with us or anything like that because it's not a specific program we run. So now when we talk about M2s and the host program, they're fairly similar, but the host program came from a group that wanted more of a tiered system with a little bit more complex rewards that could be earned, right? Depending on how much your order total is from that party that you host. So let me share my screen. So here we have the M2 flyer, right? And so an M2 meeting was kind of branded differently than a happy hour, even though it is a happy hour. They came up with that term M2 because it's a way for specialists who have already talked to a lot of their friends and family about Soul to be able to find an even bigger network. And so the idea is to have a member that you have that's maybe not interested in selling Soul, or is interested but just hasn't signed up as a specialist yet, or you could even use someone who's interested in Soul but is not enrolled as a member or a specialist. As long as they're not a specialist, they can be the host. And so the idea is you work with them and you say, hey, I'll come, I'll give a presentation on Soul, or I'll have someone else do it if you just invite your people, right? So it's a way to access a larger network than you already have. That's the idea behind it. And so there has to be, right, let's go through the requirements. It says you get a member, or it could be a non-member as well, to host a meeting, and there has to be 5 or more attendees. And so you can have other specialists or members attend, but those people won't count towards your 5 attendees. There has to be 5 attendees that aren't a part of Soul at all. And so then you have that meeting and the presenter provides information about Soul. They have to teach a little bit about like our philosophy or a product or something like that. And of course, at the end, you invite them to like either become a part of the Soul family as a member or as a specialist. And it kind of just depends on your group and your goal, because you could have an M2 where you focus on the benefits of becoming a Soul specialist and the business side of Soul, right? Or you could just have it focused, if you're trying to get more members, you could have one focused on introducing the products and more of our philosophy. So your goals will change and your presentations will change, but that doesn't really matter. The M2 allows for some flexibility. So, and we encourage you to challenge the people that attend these M2s to host their own if they'd like to, right? Because whoever's the host gets they get a free upgrade if they'd like, or they get $50 in Soul rewards that they could use for basically a free product or two.
So repeat that challenge.
Yeah, so at the end, we invite people to challenge them to host their own M2 meetings. And that doesn't mean they'd have to give a presentation. It just means like, hey, if you want to invite your friends, like if you enjoyed this and you want to, you know, people you want to invite to do this, you could host your own. And what that means as the host, you would get the rewards. So either you could upgrade to a specialist for free, or you could get $50 in soul rewards. And all you have to do is invite your people, and then like I or someone else would, you as the specialist, when I say I, would give the health presentation.
Thank you. Okay.
Mhm. And so here's like some definitions of the people, right? It's defines who the host is, who you are, who the attendees can be. And for the meetings, you're supposed to register these meetings. This is another difference between the host program and the M2 program. For M2 meetings, you have to register them before you have them 24 hours in advance. So if you're going to have a meeting, we'll go over those requirements in a little bit. You have to email customer support and let them know you're going to do that. Okay, perfect. We already went over those. Oh, and not only do you have to have the meeting, but at least one order of $150 needs to be purchased by an attendee before the meeting closes. And so by an attendee, even though specialists and other people can attend as well, it's one of those attendees that isn't a part of Soul. So $150 needs to be placed, and then that's when you would get those rewards. And that's $150. You could use a gift card on that, so it could really be $125, right? But
Becky has a question.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So they would the host get the $50 in rewards or upgrade if nobody places, like if it's less than 150?
No.
There's just, okay, I just wanted to make sure that's clear.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and so those are the two stipulations. You have to have the 5 attendees and register it, right? But then you also have to have a qualifying order, at least one.
Okay.
This just goes through some extra details of how to run one. And then it says down here, you must register a meeting, right? And you can email m2@soulnaturals.com, or also they'll respond to you at just customer support at soulnaturals.com. And to register that meeting, let's look at what that looks like. You would use this form, but you don't have to print it off and scan it in and all that. Really what we need is just this information up here above this colorful line. I don't know how to highlight it, above this line. And so when you send an email, like use these headings like date, time, location, and write that out, and then put like a little colon, you know what I mean? So that way you don't have to actually print it off and scan it in, because that's a lot of work, but this is all the information we have to have. And so when you give the host name and the mentor name, the presenter, presentation topic, all that's what's necessary. And down here is just other stuff to help you plan your M2 meeting. Now I'm going to confuse people. So great. Yeah, that's what you have to send in 24 hours in advance. And then after your meeting or during your meeting, you need to like take a picture. So for example, if it's a Zoom, you would take a picture of when everyone's on, right? And so that way it's just proving, so they can check names and be like, oh, you're right, you didn't just invite specialists. And so you'll let them know who the attendees were, right? And you'll take a picture and send that in after to verify. And then you'll also let them know, like, if you had someone order, right? Like this person ordered and that's going to be my qualifying order, so that they can know that.
Hope.
Okay. Yes.
Can the mentor and the presenter be the same person?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
So for example, if you wanted to present, right, you would just invite one of your members to be the host. And so you could be the mentor of that member.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And still be the presenter.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions on M2s before we go to host program?
Yes. So in doing it virtually as a happy hour that could take over 2 days, how do we take the picture?
Yeah. So are you live streaming onto Facebook? Because you're doing it via Facebook, right?
Well, okay, so this is how we're looking and trying to decipher the logistics of what can and cannot happen. So let's say Becky has 5 new people that she invites into a Facebook group, and we do that, a 2-day Facebook group meeting. How can this qualify for an M2 meeting for Becky?
Yeah. And so when you say a Facebook meeting, are you talking
A
about like your,
Facebook, a virtual 2 day where we roll out information, but it's brand new people you're
so
bringing
you-
in.
yeah, so you're posting stuff in that group, or you're doing like some
It's a
lives, or
closed group. You're doing lives. You're educating for 2 days. You're doing an educational series over a 2 day, a 48-hour period of time, but it's being done virtually rather than in a home or her location.
gotcha. Okay, yeah. And usually when people do Facebook groups, they'll do the host program because with that host program, you have a week to enter those orders in. So we'll get to that.
Okay.
And to send a picture in, all you need to do is we need to show like engagement, right? That they were there or they were watching. So if you're doing a live and they're on like watching, just snap a picture, or if like they're commenting, things like that. Because what some people, do is they'll just send like a picture of people they invited to a Facebook group. And that's hard for us because we're like, yeah, you can
Yeah.
create as many Facebook groups as you want, but like, how do we know you did anything, right? Or that they were even watching.
So when
yeah,
you do, so what I'm
or-
hearing you say is when we do a virtual 2 day, it does not qualify for an M2, correct? That's what I'm hearing
Yeah.
you say?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just
Unless
because
it was a
it's
live stream that you were literally zooming in and you were doing a live stream where you could take a picture of everybody.
Well, and
Okay.
for 2 day, the bigger issue is that with M2s, you only have 24 hours to get those orders in.
Yeah.
So I guess you could do it where like, yeah, I mean, if you started like, let's say Tuesday at 4 p.m., right? It could go until Wednesday at 4 p.m., which is technically 2 days. So you could do it like that. And we'll go over host program. And then if you have any problems, like,
Yeah.
we can
No,
always.
I'm just trying to show and ask the question so that way as we lead into the next one, it's like because if you've never done this before, believe you me, it can be daunting, because when I finally did my first one, I asked Hope how many times I called her. I did an M2. I had a member become a specialist by the way in which she did it. And, it was a challenge to get that order in within 24 hours because of working virtually with people. So,
yeah.
Okay.
And so M2s are a really good option for like Zoom meetings if you're doing it virtual, or if you're doing in person. I feel like M2 is really easy with that, because then you can sit with the people and be like, oh, this is how you order. Let's like see, like you can talk to them and things like that. And it goes a little bit faster so that you can fit that 24-hour window.
Okay.
Any other questions before we talk about the host program?
Nope.
Okay, great. Let me share my screen again. This is the host program, right? And this one's a little bit more complicated. And it was actually kind of trial run and created by other soul specialists that were wanting something with a little bit more complexity and depth to it. So, and like we said, this will go for a week, right? And people that attend this can be members or soul specialist, not soul specialists, non-soul members, like not a part of soul or members. They just can't be soul specialists, right? So if we read up at the top, the host or hostess, and the host or hostess can't be a soul specialist either, receives a free SoulFlex AC cream for hosting a party with at least 5 non-soul specialists in attendance, either in person or online. And like it says, can't be a current specialist for the host or hostess. So if you have a member or a friend that's not a part of Soul that wants to do this, but like is interested in learning more about it, that's perfect. And it's a tiered reward system. And all these tiered rewards are for the host or hostess. And before we get to that, just so you know, any attendee that comes to this, whether they be a specialist or one of your 5 non-specialists or members, because for this one, sorry, let me clarify, it gets a little confusing. So for the M2, they have to have 5 that are not a part of Soul at all, right? For this host program, you can have 5 that are like 3 of them could be members and 2 of them could not be a part of Soul at all, or it could be a mix, or it could be all people that are not a part of Soul, or all members. It doesn't matter. And those have to be your 5. But then, of course, you could also invite some other specialists if they're just wanting to learn and attend. So you could have like 5 of those and then 2 specialists that show up, right? And those can all be counted, but you need the 5. And so any attendee, whether they're part of that 5 or not, if they purchase $75 in product during that week period, like after the meeting has ended, or for example, after the 24 or 48-hour period has ended, if you're doing a Facebook, then they can pick their favorite box of 30 count category leading drink for only $25. So there's a little bit of reward in there for anyone who just attends the meeting as well. And then we'll get to what the host or hostess can earn above. Okay, and then so for the host or hostess, this is based on, like it says, these prices that they list here, the qualifications. It's before taxes and shipping, but it's after Soul Rewards or gift cards. So that's just so you know. And also those specialist orders, like if you have specialists that show up in addition to those 5 that you have, their orders can't count towards these totals. And so let's say over, you had a 48-hour happy hour event, right, on Facebook. And let's say over the next week, those people that attended that event bought $250 worth of product, right? And so the host or hostess would receive $20 in Soul Rewards automatically. And then we see a little asterisk here. And so we go down here. It says, in order to qualify for the bonus rewards, because there's bonus rewards on each level, there must be 3 new signups, and an attendee must book and hold their own party within 30 days. So these ones after the asterisk obviously won't be given out until we've been able to qualify or verify, that's the word I'm looking for, whether or not there's been 3 signups from that party, and if someone's held their own meeting within 30 days after that. So if you had 3 new signups from that meeting and one of those people hosts a party within 30 days, then you would get a bonus 15 rewards or a free specialist upgrade. So those are the options for the first one. And then the second one is $35 in Soul Rewards. And then, of course, if you hit the 3 signups in the one meeting from one of those people, you'd get 30 bonus Soul Rewards. Of course, if you wanted a free specialist upgrade, you could also still use that. It's just not written there again. Same thing here. If you get 500 or more, it's $50 in Soul Rewards. And then the asterisk is 45 bonus in Soul Rewards or free specialist upgrade. And then this part after the semicolon, it's a little bit confusing the way they wrote it. This is, they get an option to buy one of these packages at a discount, right? And so this is not part of the bonus. You don't have to have the 3 signups or the meeting to get this. It's just the 45 bonus Soul Rewards that you need that for. And so they get the $50 in Soul Rewards no matter what, plus the option to buy one of the following packages at a discount. And then it's listed here which packages those are and what's the discount. And then for $1,000 or more for this party, because you have a week to get those in. So if you had like a really big event and you had 1,000 or more, you get 150 in Soul Rewards, or the host does. And they get a free Compass Blends gift box, which is super awesome. And then if there's 3 signups and a party within 30 days, they would get 60 bonus rewards. I should have just put this one after the semicolon is the same. They don't have to have the 3 signups or the party within 30 days to get that. So they get the free Compass Blend box, 150 in Soul Rewards, and the option to buy one of these. So I know that's a little much. Oh, Chris, I can't hear you. It looks like you're talking though.
So that would be considered the host, the person who's a non-specialist. That would be me bringing in a brand new person or a member, correct? Yep. We could have a member or a brand new person, and they would be considered the host. And whatever the volume of their happy hour, we're going to call it, we're saying it's a host party happy hour, because we're calling everything happy hours. Becky said, stop confusing me. Don't call it happy hours because it doesn't last an hour. I said, well, hours in 2021 are 2 days. It's just like our time is different. No.
Time is slowed. Sometimes an hour there's no feel like 2 days.
The truth is distorted in time. in 2021. So these are the volumes that a brand new person or a member, but it cannot be a specialist. Does everybody understand that part of what the definition of host means?
Yes.
And then this is just tiers or layers. And then the asterisk or the good tracks, the top four, the immune or the soul fit is just the host who's purchasing that at a discount, right, Hope?
Yes.
Yes, that's the host's options to purchase at discounts because of her volume. Okay.
And whether or not they hit, like, let's say you have a program or a party, right, or happy hour that's you're choosing to do the host program with, and you do 150 in volume, you still get that, the host still gets the free Soulflex AC cream.
Okay, so in addition, then they get the Soulflex AC cream. Okay.
No matter what, if they have a party where at least 5 of those required people are there, then they get the Soulflex AC cream.
And 3 orders, correct? 5 attending and 3 orders, or just 5 attending? She gets the host gets a Soulflex cream.
If they have a party, with 5 people that are either members or not a part of Soul, then they get the Soulflex AC cream.
Okay.
And then the asterisks, like where the 3 new signups and someone that signed up having to host their own party within 30 days, that gets you the extra bonus Soul rewards. Like that's where the asterisk is.
That's where the bonuses come in. Okay.
Yes.
So that's how you can earn more money in your account to be able to purchase future products.
Yeah, the host would.
The host, yes.
Yes. And then, like I said, any attendee that shows up, whether they be, specialist member, non-part of Soul, anyone that attends it, as long as it's a verified meeting and you have those 5, will get this deal where if they purchase $75 a product, then they get a drink box for only $25, which is pretty awesome.
Okay, do y'all realize that when we print this up on our end, that this, the 4 drinks has a black background that overlays that description?
I did not know that.
Actually, mine doesn't print the image at all.
And some people don't print. So we're having the image needs to be put into the PDF file and taking the backdrop out, the black, and because
that's on all the information sheets for me.
The pictures
So
don't
have
print.
To sign into another computer to print it. So it depends on the browser and on the browser.
It's the browser. It's going to be the browser, but I've tried 4 browsers in printing this, Hope, and it does it on all the browsers for me.
Okay.
And you see,
because I wonder if it's uploaded as a PNG or a JPEG.
I bet you that's it. It's probably as a PNG rather than the JPEG, and the background is not being when you set it to where it's like, will the background come through or not? I think that's where the discrepancy is.
And for me, on my Mac, I tried different browsers and couldn't get the image to print. But when I went on my PC,
HP,
I was able to get it to print.
So there's a discrepancy, with the way in which it's loaded on the PDFs.
Okay. I'll ask Kendall about that. Good to know. Okay, and then last thing about the host program is the party needs to be closed and reported back to customer support within 1 week. So you don't have to register it beforehand, unlike the M2.
Okay.
And after you have your 1 week period, right? And you have all your orders in, then you can contact them and register it and let them know everything. And that's where they'll give out the rewards and all of that.
And that has to all be called in or emailed to customer service, especially to get that $25 drink.
Yeah, as of right now, it needs to be called in. We're looking on getting a simpler way to do that, but
also, we just collecting their credit card information and we call customer service with everybody.
Or you can three-way call in the orders, right, Hope? We can 3-way call in the orders, and then that way customer service can, be the person that takes the credit card, so a person doesn't feel like, the discrepancy there.
Yeah. And Heaven's usually the one that enters in our host program stuff. She knows the most about it. So if you have any questions about like if someone's like doesn't want to give their credit card information or things like that, just talk to her and then she'll give them a call separately and be like, hey, I heard you were a part of this. Like, yeah. So
that's something Soul will do for us, is if we give them the phone numbers, they will call them, get that information, close that deal, so we can get those orders set in, so we can respect people's privacy if that's their choice not to give out credit cards to personally us.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to know. So that is something we can.
The name, their number, and what they're wanting to order.
Awesome.
What if they want to go ahead and do an order right then and there and not wait until we collect everything? Do they just go on our site, or we walk them through it? Or if they say, no, I got this?
Because if you're going to do a meeting, right, basically you have to call to get that deal, because we don't have our drink boxes listed as 25 on the site, right? Obviously. And so they would just have to call in. So you could just be like, hey, let's call in right now. Let's let them know, hey, we're doing a meeting. And you would probably have to call in advance and be like, explain and say, hey, this is like we're having. And so maybe if you wanted to call right then, you contact them before and let them know you're going to have the meeting. It's just not required that you do that. So
if you're doing it on a weekend or something, when customer service is closed, do you guys just fill out order forms and then have the phone number so they can be contacted?
Yeah, like if you want to get down their information and send us an order form, you said? Yeah, so that would work. Like if you get someone's information on the weekend and we're closed, just like write it all down and then you can send us all that information. And like you could send us, for example, Lisa, like, hey, this person wants to order this. And it's part of the host program. Like you could just send us an email with their info. And then once we have that, like we could just call them, and so maybe it might not go through in that same instance you're sending the email or the same instance you're calling, because we have to verify some things first, but it'll go through pretty fast. Yeah.
Okay. So definitely don't tell them to go to the website or my website and say, put your order in. We have to actually hold their hands and do it for them.
Unless let's say they're just ordering like a bottle of adaptable or something like that, and they're not going to order more than $75. And so they're not going to get that deal, then they could just order right then.
Okay.
And it would still count towards your party, right? Or no?
Yeah,
it's the volume of the party.
Like whenever you send in the rest of the orders, you just have to let them know, hey, this person's order on this date was also a part of that party. And they'll just be like, okay, awesome, and just add it towards the total.
And a lot of people do like a three-way call with Soul office. They merge the call, so that way in the event that the person's unsure of what the Soul person is, the Soul corporate office or customer service is asking, then you can be there to answer the questions. I've been a part of that, and I've seen it used more and more, where you're on a three-way call with customer service with the person. So that way, you're there to answer their questions. And I guess that's a technology thing that we underestimate, but three-way calls are also another option.
Yeah.
And it's just they can't go to our website and do it themselves.
Yeah. And if you're, for example, like worried, like, oh my gosh, I don't want to spend hours on the phone with each person, like really the easiest way to do it is just take down everyone's information, like Jody said, on order forms, and then send pictures of those order forms. All you have to do is email them in to us, and then we'll put them all in. And so they won't get their orders. Obviously, their orders won't be processed until we get the email. But even if that's just a day or two late, at least in my mind, it'll be fine.
So should they follow up with Soul office after you send the email with the phone call? So that way they'll be looking for that email?
No, they'll see it and they'll usually let you know, like, awesome, like we got these orders, or they'll like let you know if they have any questions about it. So usually they'll respond to you, so you'll know.
Okay.
And then they're automatically set up under, excuse me,
You're
So
good.
then those people that place orders are automatically set up under like me as a specialist when you submit those orders? Or
So
if your hostess doesn't want to be a specialist?
exactly, yeah. So if your host doesn't want to become a specialist, then yeah, they would just go under you. Just say, hey, like these orders are all going to go underneath me. If you're like enrolling new people, you know, it'll just depend on who their mentor is. So if
So
other
then
specialists,
if they do want to be a specialist, then they would be under them.
yeah, and that's kind of a good way to motivate people to take that option and like hit that level where they have that option to become a free specialist. And especially with like M2 meetings, a lot is that's what people do. So if you were going to do like a Zoom presentation or something like that and you did an M2, because with the M2, remember they either get $50 in soul rewards or they can become a specialist for free. And so that's a good way to think about it, like to teach your members like, oh, look, like if you become a specialist, if you choose that option, then you're going to get the soul quicks on any orders that come from this meeting, right? Awesome. Any other questions? And do you guys know where to find these flyers and everything? Yes? Okay, perfect.
Okay, I will stop the recording right now.